lots of companies need a way to figure out who your real friends are on Facebook. And we've seen lots of companies take a little stab at that from color to path. But here we have Katango, and they have a different way to do it, and it's mind-blowing. Who are you?
My name's Yoav Shoham. My day job is I'm a professor at Stanford in computer science. I've had the fortune to start a couple companies, got lucky, and here we are again. Got together a couple of my students and we started a new company that we're excited about and about to launch.
Well, I'm excited. Anytime something comes out of Stanford, it usually is a pretty interesting Valley company. I mean, Yahoo, Google, and other companies, Cisco came out of Stanford, right?
So, in fact, our Q derives directly from Larry and Sergey. They set out to organize the web pages that were getting out of hand. And here we are in the age of social, and look at your social kind of universe, and I look at my social universe. I have between 5,000 and 10,000 contacts spread across multiple address books, communicate over probably 7 different channels, and I don't need another address book, another social network. I need a sort of a social secretary. And that's our job, to bring algorithmics to tame this kind of social tsunami. That's our mission.
A lot of people say they have the way to find my real friends in Facebook, and some of the companies do it by limiting how many friends you can put into a system, like Path, right? They limit you to 50 friends, and other ones like Color try to figure out who your real friends are by proximity. That we take a picture in the same room or same event, and that means I'm a friend of yours. But you actually did something mind-blowing. You actually figured out who my real friends were, or networks of people, because you found back the speakers I hired back in the 1990s, even though I haven't done a lot with them. How the hell did you do that?
So first of all, all credit goes to my co-founders, Mike and Took. Let's be clear on that. So going back a step, we believe that the key is recreating context. It's in my social universe right now, it's not only the thing got large and fragmented, I've lost context. Here I am interacting with you in a very particular context. If I just think I'm going to throw you into my Facebook friends, if I'm lucky enough for you to accept my friend request, you'll be lost in the crowd of me or 400 or however many I have. But I've lost that context. So our job is to recreate that context. To be sure, intimacy is one dimension that can help define context. Yeah. We speak about babies and babes, right? There are some pictures that I will share with some groups and not others. And certainly when I travel to New York and I want to check up on local people, time and space are very interesting to you, but there are lots of others. Yeah. Like you said, people you've worked in the past. And the key of the goal of the algorithmics is to help recreate this context without you doing any work.
I'm thinking of people listening here, and they probably don't have any good context of what it is you actually do.
So first, let's be clear. What you're going to see now when you first come out, indeed will ingest two sources of data: your phone contact data and Facebook. But obviously, you can imagine other sources are coming at the heels of those. What you're going to do is, once you Facebook connect, you'll just lean back for a few seconds, and then you'll see those things just emerge. And it's always interesting that one is always surprised by, I didn't expect this to come out. I have in my universe, my academics are interested in the computer science and game theory just jump out at me. I have philanthropists who don't live in the Bay Area. Was a cluster that emerged. I didn't expect that. The way this happens is, the technical term is magic, of course.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be coy here, but to give you a truthful answer, it's got to be nuanced. The way this started was the guys so they are very good in machine learning and probabilistic reasoning and these sort of things, and just took state-of-the-art clustering techniques and applied them. And It's interesting that what you get are pretty graphs.
Can you give me an example of a clustering technique? What would the algorithm be doing underneath?
So there are, this algorithms called KNN and others, and what they do is they try to look at the graph structure and find nodes that are in a sense more central than others and cluster around those. And there's another kind of center over here, and then there's things in between that aren't as central. And if you look at that, you see pictures that are pleasing. And then you say, okay, what do I do with these pictures? And the answer is, I really can't do anything with these pictures, because what we really want is a set of people that you can do something meaningful with. For example, you might want to privately share a picture with those people, or you might want to follow some of their public sharing. And that's a huge leap from traditional kind of clustering to actionable groups.
Now it's not looking at how many comments I wrote to that person, or how many times I clicked on their profile, or did I like them or not. It's using something else, because I didn't message with the groups it found. I didn't like them. I barely touched them.
So here's again where I wish I could be facile, but it wouldn't be truthful. We started by looking at everything. Yes, your likes and your comments and everything. And then it took us about half a year to get to groups that are actionable. Sort of 80-70% of the time you'd get good stuff. And it took an hour to cluster. And our goal was to get to the 95% kind of satisfaction rate and do it in 10 seconds. And then it was just an art of optimizing and looking at a little tidbit here, tidbit there. And again, I wish I could boil it down to we do X, but it's just not that simple.
Yeah.
It really took us a year, and I just can't boil it down to
you're not going to give me an answer to more than magic.
No.
How many patents do you have on this technology?
We've been careful to protect our intellectual property. Part of it is in the form of indeed patents, and part is trade secrets. So yeah, we do believe that there is a substantial intellectual value there.
Because I know when Mark Zuckerberg sees this, he's going to go, I want that. Because he's been saying that he could figure out who your real friends on Facebook are, but he never has done it to this level, and he's taken signals that have polluted my newsfeed. For instance, on the newsfeed, if I come over and visit your profile, all of a sudden I start seeing more information from you. I might not have wanted that. I might have just wanted to check out your profile, and I didn't want to mess up my newsfeed.
It's a very sort of optimizing a feed of any kind, be it a Facebook feed, an RSS feed, whatever, is so difficult. It's such a high-dimensional space that our starting point is a little different. Rather than take this torrent and try to learn it using various machine learning techniques, we start by trying to understand your relationships. And that becomes a very interesting filter through which to kind of understand how to give you something that's pleasant and productive for you.
Yeah. Your technology could be used as the building blocks for a lot of different apps on an iPhone or Android, right? You've seen Instagram, and there's blogging, there's all sorts of apps where you want to share information with people or see some context of who you should follow or look at, news apps. There's all sorts of news apps.
To be sure.
What's the business model for your company going to be? Because you could go that route, or you could start building your own apps and compete with Instagram or compete with Color.
We started by, number one, building a whole framework. This is not one app, bring a whole framework. And then we said, regardless of who is building the app, let's just make sure that there are many apps that could be supported by this. And we spent the previous summer speccing, and in some cases prototyping apps. We have 421 apps we spec to various degrees, including some we prototype, and just to satisfy ourselves that we understood there's value that can be brought to bear in a number of ways. And then the question is, so how do we operate? We made a decision to first surface our own app, A, so we're eating our own dog food. B, because with all due respect to us, yeah, Stanford is nice and so on, and Kleiner, first S-funded investment, that's nice, but at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. And so we thought we should display value publicly, learn ourselves, and to be sure then open up the platform to other parties. How quickly we'll do that, we're not sure, to be honest. We're not anxious to do it now. We were already approached by one entity to do that. So we want to make sure that we're not too distracted so we can actually build out the platform in a robust way. If along the way we can bring value to partners, we'd be happy to do that.
Well, I bet when people first see this, they're going to come up with all sorts of new use cases, and they're going to keep asking you, hey, can I use it for this? Can I? And that's how you build a platform, right? You sort
That's
of
right.
listen to the Get Satisfaction forum and see what everybody wants, and you build out that API first and go for it, right?
No, that's definitely correct. And at the same time, we have our own app that's coming out is going to be a very partial sort of functionality compared to what we'll be offering, kind of rolling out over the next year. And so we'll be proceeding with that as well.
It was really interesting when I ran it. It found three. Do you call them circles, or what do you call do you
Yeah,
call circles?
we
Or
struggle with that ourselves. As
yeah,
you know,
groups of people.
clusters or circles are two good terms that we use, and
Yeah.
sometimes we just call them lists.
Yeah, it found 17 for Rocky, and I think it found 11 or 13 for my wife.
Yeah.
And is that because I don't have real friends, or?
We call it a social mirror. It gives you a little sense for how you're operating in this universe.
Yeah.
So some people use it as a business tool with very shallow interaction with people and everybody on board. It's really indistinguishable from any other broadcast medium, which is fine, but it's a particular mode. And that to a large extent you were that way, except there were a few people where you actually had meaningful connections with,
Yeah.
and those emerged. Most people are more like your wife and Rocky,
Yeah.
whether it's life circle, kind of life stage events or activity-based kind of clusters that emerge, and you see those come up. You also see the people that appear, because a person can appear in more than one cluster. Right, your wife could appear in your family cluster as well as in your kind of work cohort if you happen to work together.
We did.
And-
We met at work. So
And so it's interesting to see where people show up. Some people show up in many, many clusters, which is interesting, tells us a little about their networking behavior. So it's an interesting kind of thing.
yeah, it seemed like it did better with my wife because she has a smaller group of real friends who she talks with a lot and has these conversations, and then she's part of groups that also talk with each other a lot. Is that sort of how the algorithm is one of the signals that it's looking at?
Talking is a signal, but don't read too much into it. I would say more deeply, these are circles that have a certain integrity to them that's manifested in talking, but in other ways. Social connections that show up in a number of ways. And somehow
Can you
all
give
of
me a
that.
sense of some of the things that you're looking? Are you looking
Well,
at,
for
like,
example,
schools?
mutual friends, and and certainly if you worked in the same area and so on. That those are all interesting clues, and so all that needs to be kind of factored in to give you those meaningful clusters of people.
Can you say, show me all the mountain bike fans that I'm friends with? as well?
Customized by the end user, you mean?
Or tune for if you go down the platform route, could an app developer ask you to tune it for just mountain bikers who are in your friend circles?
Yeah, we haven't quite optimized the mountain biker feature yet, but no, absolutely, because we ourselves have been tuning it for months on end, and so absolutely. But it's also a very valid question whether in our app or a third party's app you want to give the end user an opportunity to influence the sort of sets of people they get to do something interesting with.
Yeah.
And the answer is absolutely yes. In the first version will come out, we're not providing that, but this will be coming soon as well.
If you did that, would it teach the system more so that in the future it would find even better groups?
It would. However, I'm always weary of applications that promise you if you only use it for 6 months, it'll get so good.
Yeah.
We have to give you a satisfying experience from day one. But then indeed it'll get better over time.
Okay. Can I say, show me all my friends who have iPhones, for instance. Are you studying things like that?
Again, in 1.0, the answer is no. But we have all the technology to do that, and in-house we've had, in fact, it's not an application; it's a dashboard. We use the term FRM early on, friend relation management, by analogy with CRM, of course, and we took it seriously. We had like a CRM-like dashboard for my friends, which is almost comical or insulting, depending on how you look at it. And then you could do all kind of slicing and dicing. How to take that and put it in a form that's natural and productive to people and respectful of them, that's an art where, but you will see more of that functionality go on.
Tell me about some of the privacy behind this, because it's a little freaky how good it is.
When we started out last summer, we were lucky enough to have as an intern a postdoc who's very good in privacy, security, and data ownership. And it's kind of a little bizarre that we did it early on, but before we even built our framework, we asked him to write a data privacy manifesto. And that's not only because we're nice guys, but not only that, because we will live or die by how well we earn the user's trust and respect it.
Yeah.
And so I can't tell you how many kind of checks and balances we've put in, and that's kind of...
So you can't look at my friends, and you're not going to show it to
No.
my wife unless I show her the app. And
It's all, and it gets very interesting territory, because sometimes allowing you to share your data with somebody else is to your advantage.
yeah.
At the same time, you don't want to be in the business of micromanaging all your permissions. That doesn't work. We've seen it in many other apps. And so, yes, we're
But
very
you get
close.
where I'm coming from, because
Yeah.
you're seeing patterns that I didn't even see in my friend relationships, and those patterns are going to be very valuable. Could you tell if somebody's like a spy or has been moved into the from into a criminal protection plan or a witness protection plan? Can you say, oh, you're like a blank spot? You don't have the kinds of relationships that we expect to see?
Near as I can tell from our experiments, you're in a witness protection program with. You have this huge.
The truth is out.
There are, you're asking several questions.
Yeah.
One is interesting pattern emerge. Sometimes you might want to share them by way, and in fact, you can do that already now, because when you have these clusters emerge, you can communicate with them. You have publicized the fact that you have those clusters. You can definitely do that. You could certainly call your friends over and say, look, go check this out. Are there potentially patterns that emerge that could impinge on your privacy despite everybody's good intentions? It's something we're always careful about. So far, we've seen nothing to give us pause. The patterns that emerge, again, we've got limited data sets. We have several thousand people we work with, but they've all been the sort of things you'd expect.
Yeah.
Family, my biking group, my chess club.
I just asked because I actually talked to somebody at the CIA one time, and he said, we're really freaked out about Facebook because making somebody appear normal and have all the normal friends that you grow up with and have that defensible, so the guy doesn't pull out a gun and go, you don't have real friends, you're not a normal human being, you're not part of our group.
I have to confess that protecting the witness protection program is not something we focus on so far. But
one last thing, because I know we're running out of time. What does the app look like, and what does it show you?
It's mobile focused. You take your phone and you download the app, and as soon as you open up, it asks you to it explains what it's about to do. Then it asks you Facebook Connect. And then within seconds, you are dropped into a screen and you simply see your friend clusters in front of you, and you do basic functions of them. You get to name them. We give you a preliminary name, but you get to name the name you actually want. You get to hone them. You can add people, delete people, and then you can start communicating with them. Very simple.
Can I share photos with them? Can I?
Yes,
Okay.
it's you can think of it as somehow a private Facebook within Facebook, or a GroupMe within Facebook.
Got it.
and text and phones
and
and
these
commenting. Yeah.
these communications go out to Facebook and use the new privacy features of Facebook, where it sends a message to a small set group, right?
Exactly. So to be specific, we are quite inclusive in our communication channels. Certainly, if you have the app, you will get the communications through the app. Otherwise, you will certainly get it through the private Facebook channel, so that it's locked down to just to the people with which it was shared.
Yep.
But my mom, for example, is not on Facebook. She's in my family cluster, so she's going to get it by email.
Got it.
You always have the option, if it's an urgent message, to send it by text, again free, and with all the bells and whistles that go off when the message arrives.
Very cool. Over the next couple months, what should we expect to see from you? More social networks? Are you going to add LinkedIn and other ones, or are you going to stay Facebook and email for a while?
No, you can expect to have substantially increased functionality.
Yeah. And tell me about some of the fundamentals of the company. Have you raised funding yet? And how many employees do you have? Stuff like that.
We did seed funding from Kleiner Perkins. We were first investment of the S Fund. Our board member is Bing Gordon. We are 11.5 people in the company.
Who's only half? So somebody's doing a side job or something?
We have an office manager who's so talented, she only needs half of her time there.
Very cool. Anything else that I should know about you guys? Because you're one of those companies that I think is going to do something interesting.
No, I think you really asked the right questions. I think it's very important to realize that what we're surfacing now, we hope will in and of itself be really cool and useful, not just cool. But it's really just the tip of the iceberg, and we hope to continue to innovate very quickly, both ourselves and with partners.
Very cool. Well, thanks for coming to my house and showing this to me. It's really, really mind-blowing. So.
Thank you very much.